So here's the thing. Zerg does have... Well, it had a higher skill ceiling. But people, like, reach skill ceilings over time. The thing is, every skill ceiling is infinite in just about every game that's any good. Okay? This is an important aspect that people need to understand. The skill ceiling in StarCraft 1 is infinite. The skill ceiling in StarCraft 2 is infinite. The skill ceiling in CSGO is infinite, right? There's so many games like this where it's like you can't play perfectly. Like, you can just get better and better and better and better forever. Now, that being said, a part of what balanced Zerg in the beginning was that no one could do all the different things you need to do. Nowadays, every single good player nails their injects and creep spread. So all these things that really differentiated good Zergs from bad Zergs before, like, you know, we have at least, you know, 4 or 5 Zergs at any time that can do everything so well. It's crazy. Anyways, no need to complain about that right now. You know, we finally got a Terran world champion in Oliveira. And, you know, we finally had another Protoss win GSL. It's like important stuff has occurred. So I don't want to complain too much about it right now, but yeah. Anyways, Neo-Humanity. And it's a very quick pull here from Dark. Dark is very good at recovering from poor attacks early on. We'll see. Like, this could just be him giving a nod towards a possibility of a Proxy 2 rack, something like that. And yeah, I guess we're gonna see what these openers are. A Reaper, expand, 6 Lings coming out. Now, here's the thing about the 6 Lings. Okay, see the SCV going across? This is one of the most important things that is happening in this game. Because he's going with the SCV, what you do with this SCV is you poke into the natural to see what the hatchery is at. Now, see how those are running around? Those are purposefully trying to run around so that the Reaper is out. So the idea behind something like this is if the Reaper comes across the map and you wait till it's hitting your hatch, basically, you run in with the Lings and you kill the SCV making the command center, and you just kind of slow things a lot for Terran. In any game where the SCV goes across the map and just pokes in, you check the health in the hatchery, and then you know if it was pull first or hatchery first, and then you keep the Reaper at home. And now the Lings don't do anything. They keep the Reaper at home. I guess that's it. But yeah, that's kind of the back and forth that you just saw there. So Kier deciding to scout his SCV definitely makes a big difference for himself here. And of course, as he has other units popping out, he doesn't need the Reaper there anymore. He can come up for his scout. Runs past the Queen here. Sees him mining out the gold minerals, so he knows that's going to be the 3rd. Okay, that's valuable. He's not going to be able to get out alive, unfortunately. So down goes that Reaper. Yes, gold minerals are worth more. Okay, so 3rd base going up. The Hellions being made. Starport on the way. Oh, Fusion Core. Okay, now we're getting interesting. Oh, yeah, if you see a few dropping frames, so Mapu just moved houses. He lives in Japan, for anyone wondering. He's married with kids and stuff, and he just moved houses. So he's actually on internet that's not going to be his full-time internet while he waits for his full-time internet. So this is like not his best internet. So if you see just a little bit of lag right now, he did warn me before the game started that his connection was lagging just a little bit. Hopefully it bounces back. He's been good every week. He's been on the weaker connection the past 2 weeks, but we haven't really noticed it. But yeah, we noticed just a little bit of it here. But I think it'll probably clear up. It's been pretty good for us so far. Anyways, so he's killed off. Kira's killed off here the Overlord. So the BC coming in is not something that Dark is privy to at the moment. Maybe if you see the Viking, you can start to guess that, like, oh, could it be that type of thing. We don't see spores yet. We do see plenty of queens being made. Obviously, queen spore is kind of the counter to BC. That's how you're gonna try to keep it back. Now, does Cure... Yeah, it looks like Cure is going to follow up with Mech, by the way, which is, I would say, from Korean Terrans, 95% of the time, BC rushes go into Mech. Probably more than that, to be honest. Like, when BCs were really popular, everyone just kind of stopped going bio with them. So, the follow-up from Dark is going to be probably the most interesting part of this game. Does he go for, like, the 65 drone... Roach speed Corruptor to counter it? Or does he go for a longer macro game? Because it really can be either one. Now, he is going for those Roach upgrades. We don't really have spores yet. And here comes the BC. So there it is. And he actually targets the Queen immediately. That was a higher energy Queen, so a nice target. Interesting to see him target queens specifically. A lot of times you will see people target down drones and just kind of run from the queens, but instead takes one down, damages another, forces out some transfusion energy. Gonna just fly into the natural here and see what he can do. Okay, the Hellions trying to run in aren't gonna get anything done. They basically just have to back out. Lots of lings being made right now, which is kind of interesting. Not sure about why he's making that many lings. Like, obviously he's gonna try to get some sort of counterattack going. Double armory coming up here for Kier. Oh god, catches him in the slow zone, so he's gonna be able to delete the rest of these Hellions. Splits those lings off perfectly. That was a perfect split right there. Love it. The 3 roaches can kind of zone out like small groups of Hellions like this, and he will go ahead and attack that 3rd command center. Probably going to have to lift this off. Going to lose a few SCVs as well. Second BC going to stay back and just kind of defend for now. 1-1 almost done here for Dark. Now, we haven't seen a Spire go up for Dark yet, by the way. So this is kind of a funny thing. Like, we should see a Spire really, really, really soon. If you don't have a Spire, if you don't get a decent group of Corruptors, and they keep making BCs, you get into a pretty bad spot pretty quickly. Oh, we're going Nidus. Okay, so completely different here. So what he's going to do is just do a massive Nidus attack here, most likely. Now, we see the Infestation Pit as well. When playing against Mech, you can go for Swarmhost Nidus. That is a reasonable way. My guess is he's going to go for an aggressive attack, but we will see. All right, a couple more factories coming up. Yamato, about a third of the way done. Oh, it is going to be Swarmhost Nidus. Okay, okay. I guess he didn't make enough queens for what I was aiming towards. Swarmhost Nidus here. I'm trying. You don't see it that often against BC Mech. Like, it's very good against Mech in general, but BC Mech can, like, the BCs actually deal with Locusts reasonably well. They can snipe down the Nidus pretty quickly if they're anywhere near it, or they could jump to it, right? So there's definitely some options here for the BC Mech player in dealing with this, where it's a bit harder with just regular Mech, and a lot of times you might do something like some Medivacs mixed in with Hellbats, or the old Gumiho style, you know, some Vikings in there with some Thors, that type of thing. Okay, so see, this is what I was talking about, why I didn't feel like this is as good an idea. But when he jumps in, all the queens pop out. Dark held those. He held those until the jump came. That seems pretty brilliant to me, honestly. He Yamato's down. Now, that 1-1 did finish. But he Yamato's down. He loses the armories. He can just remake those. 1-1 was done, so it's not the end of the world. If, like, 2-2 was almost done or 1-1 hadn't finished, that would have hurt a lot. But I think that was actually a very, very clever move that we just saw. Now, using Yamatos instead of on queens on the Swarmhost, just to reset that count a little bit, but 3 more being made. One of the BCs falls. Okay. You know what? This makes a little bit more sense, especially when you see that the gold minerals weren't mined out. If the gold minerals were mined out, like, he could actually bring an army down there to try to contest this a bit better. Right now, he has to walk really far around to do that. And look at him just sit here and send in another wave. Dude, Dark is truly one of the smarter players. Like, he really has a lot of interesting ideas. This is a very cool positional and tactical play from Dark. I'm a fan. Cure right now, he's certainly taking some damage. He still has a very strong standing army. I like this move right here, right? Like, just gun down the Locusts as quick as you can with the VCs. VCs hit him in air or on the ground. They kill him pretty darn quickly. Gonna go ahead, clear this out. Retake that base. All right, a couple of Yamatos on Queens here. Just trying to reduce what he can at the moment. When the Yamato cooldown comes up, you definitely should be using it. You're not gaining anything by not using it, that's for sure. But certainly these Swarm hosts have done a pretty good job. Now, he gets rid of that finally, but everything went back into it. So no additional units lost here for Dark. Kira continuing to macro up. He's adding in a lot of Cyclones at this point. Now, Cyclones against the Locusts won't do well, but against pretty much everything else out here, they will. He does have the Mag Field Accelerator. All right, good amount of Biles coming down. Ooh, actually really bruises those BCs up some. Looks like the Locust is going to go ahead and land over here. Force a lift off. Not going to take too much damage. Might lose a tank there. But a big counterattack coming in from Cure. I think it's a really good choice here. See, this is kind of what we did not see from Nightmare, where it's like, okay, Cure's taking a lot of damage, but he's still got a good army, so let's give ourselves an opportunity to win the game rather than run around and clear out little attacks that are hurting us over and over. So he's trying to get in there and trying to get something done. Oh, that's a bad rally from the other side. Unfortunately, the army is very big and strong here from Dark. He's coming down with the Queens, but a lot of the actual army units are being cleared. Behind this small group is just Swarm Host Queen. Okay, I love that. He lands only a few Locusts to take out the tank. The rest of the Locusts trying to dive forward on anything else that they can find. Definitely, this is fun to see him like go for a heavy battle mech composition right now. All right, a lot of lock-ons. Couple infestors coming up, getting that burrow upgrade as well. Very important with those infestors. No sense in walking them around normal. Another Yamato finally does lose that last BC. His battle mech, like, I mean, it's trading pretty well against this stuff, but as those Locusts come in, that is certainly not something you can fight. He may want to consider popping up some Hellbats, right? Hellbats are much tankier, and you can do things like add in some medevacs to kind of like tank a bit more of the shots of the Locusts. It's not like he has a bunch of Lings here that the Hellions are frying or anything like that. Like, obviously, it's longer range than the Hellbat, so they can add a little bit of damage like Roach Ravager and things like that, but that's not really what we're seeing as much. I feel like the tanking would be worth more here. Fungal goes down, getting a couple of the Cyclones. He will be able to get out, though. All right, that is a serious amount of Cyclones. Little Knights to the side. Doing a good job. And there you go. There are the Hellbats. So this is a much... like, Hellbats do a much better job tanking. It looks like he wants to turn them back into Hellions, though. Like, Hellions are faster, so you have better mobility if you keep them in Hellion mode. But again, you know, sometimes against the Locust, we do see people rely on those Hellbats a bit more. Yeah, another Infestor does end up getting picked off. They're not the greatest Fungal. Not really worth the Infestor life, obviously. And you know what? Kira's done a good job. He's kind of zoned everything out a bit. What?
Artosis Grandma donated $3.33. Oh my golly, is this the caster that called it spawning poo? I'm laughing so hard right now. Oh my god, that was so funny.
Thanks, man. Glad that you really like that. A little missile turret going up. A lot of damage on these Cyclones. I love the locations. He's just going further and further back. He's like, okay, well, we'll just launch to this side. We'll get rid of your turrets or whatever. Sensor tower, if a command center's there. Liberator range on the way. I like that a lot as well. We'll talk about that in a moment, though. Sometimes, this is something we've seen in the past. Like, notice how Neural is coming up as well. Okay, hold on. This is actually kind of an important battle. A lot of Biles went down. He will push it all back. The Fungal's not hitting, I think, as well as he wanted. Okay, that Fungal does okay. Gets him a couple Cyclones. 5 tanks at a time right now. So I do want to talk about Liberator range, but there's too much going on. It looks like another set of Locusts come in, and the Hellbat's doing a good job kind of keeping everything back. Banelings, slow Banelings here, walking forward and actually getting better connections than you would think they would. It looks like Kier will end up winning this battle, but loses a big chunk of his army. But, I mean, if we're going to get down to small armies, these Cyclones aren't going to do too bad, that's for sure. Now, very good move with that follow-up Roach rally. Going to push back the Cyclones, getting like 3 kills there and not losing his command center, very importantly. That was cute. He tried to burrow to stop the lock-on, but there was a turret right there. But still, Kier scanned because he's like, oh, I don't want to lose the lock-on. He would have if there wasn't the turret, though. Okay, another Locust wave coming up and just clearing out a few buildings here and there. Going to go for a little bit of the economy here as well. 3-3 coming right up. Okay, so the Liberators are starting to get added in, okay? So Liberators, like ranged Liberators being used in mass when you're going for something like either Battlecruisers or mech can be very powerful. One of my favorite ways I've seen them used, because there's a lot of ways you could utilize them. But hold on, we have another big battle coming up. Damn it, I really want to talk about that, but... Okay, Liberators kind of flying past everything. The Roach is actually getting a much better trade than you want them to get as the mech player. Like, your army, in theory, crushes that. And here, we just don't see that occurring, unfortunately. You know, the Roaches got on top of everything. He couldn't siege. He wasn't in a great position. You know, like... This is kind of like some tempo play that we're seeing from Dark that he's just so good at. Swarm Host once again going up to the side of the map there. Queen's coming down for a flank from the high ground. Dark positionally is just playing an awesome game. Like the way he's going back and forth, the way he's jumping from left to right as well. Look at that. The planetary goes down. I think against Locust, you never want to make a planetary, by the way. Against Swarm Host, there's no point. You can't lift it up. Oh, no. Oh, phew! I was scared there for a moment. It's like, oh, did Mapu's internet completely crap out? That would be terrible. We're at the end of the tournament just about. Anyways, Broodlords now being added in. More Cyclones being made, more Liberators being made. Yeah, I was just going to say, you definitely need some Thors in there. Cyclones are not that good against Broodlords. If you get the lock, obviously it's pretty good, but... Broodlings really mess them up. I think Thors are the cleanest way to deal with that with this composition. So anyways, about the Liberators, once you get to a high amount, like especially with what's coming up, because it's Broodlords, you're going to see mass Thor. Thor is like the best thing you can steal with the Neural Parasite. But if you blanket the ground with the Liberators, and then you can just like scan, and you're going to blow up the Infestors really quickly at that point. So that's one of my favorite uses of the Liberators late game, like specifically Liberator Thor. That's something that, what year was it? 2019 Maru kind of came up with, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, it's a cool composition. It actually covers each other really well. Oh no. Oh no, we're getting some lag, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, looks like it comes back. Okay, backing up here, more Locusts landing down. The Baneling's actually making this a big problem as well. Even though they don't do great damage against this. Like, just the clumping. Very difficult to fight against. Cyclones, you know, Cyclones are these units that have a very hard time against a lot of small units. They really want to fight against more valuable units that are in smaller amounts. So here we go. It is some Thor Liberator walking forward, and this composition is going to do better for him. You notice he's not making Cyclones anymore. The Cyclones really are past their end date. They have spoiled at this point. And he's got to target down those Broods as quickly as possible. He's doing a good job. Has a couple Liberators down, but it looks like the steals are coming from just outside that Liberator range. Liberator's pretty far back here, and he actually targets the Libs with the Thor there. So very painful. Really looks like Dark at this point has done a lot to take this game over. Like, he's been in a lot of control throughout the game, but I think Cure has actually played an excellent game here and parried a lot of what Dark was doing. But I think that we are very close to Dark completely breaking Cure. Now, Dark doesn't have any of the bases on the left, just to mention. So, like, if Cure can stabilize, he has those 2 top right bases that I think are actually pretty healthy right now. So maybe there is still some comeback potential. Very good lifts. This is oftentimes the best way to deal with the Locust. This is why I was talking about don't use planetaries against Swarm Host players. You want to be able to lift that stuff off. Even against non-Swarm Host players, so often you see Banelings run in and kill a planetary before you can even do anything. So good move. Now, the tech switches from Dark have been amazing. GG switches back to a Roach Ravager to kill off the rest of the Thors. That was a beautifully played game. That was beautifully done by Dark. He really ripped him apart there. Like, the tech switches back and forth, the harassment on all the sides. There was a lot of great stuff going on there. Really, really well done. Damn, that was good, man. That was really good. Yeah, so the Locust, you don't buy the Locust. It's a recharge. It's a certain amount of time and they recharge. But it's like only against slower compositions can it work. That's why it works. And we were talking about it before against Archon Immortal. That's a slower comp. Mech, that's a slower comp. High value units that are more slow moving, they're good against, generally speaking. So some good moves with this Swarm Host here today. Both by Eric and by Dark. All right, we're going to go ahead into game number 2. Dark leads 1-0. Ooh. We're going to go into Gressvon. Gressvon has been our best map, really, in the new pool. A lot of great games on Gressvon. I honestly don't even know what it is about the map. Maybe it's the layout of the third base. But we've had a lot of great games here. Stay strong, Mapu. Yeah. I'm glad he's not dropping out completely here. Anyways, Cure in the bottom right. Dark in the top left. We haven't seen any proxy barracks yet or anything, but yeah, it doesn't look like we will here either.
X300.
What's up?
Yeah, so people whining about Zergs, but if the Terran had listened to guys in the chat, he would have make tanks. Tanks are strong. Cyclone suck versus mass ground army. Cure should listen to guys in the chat and follow RT stream.
I mean, they function differently, right? When you're watching Cyclone Hellion, that's battle mech. It's the most mobile version of mech, so I think that was his idea, was to try to be very mobile. If you go for the tank-based, it certainly, in theory, is like a stronger overall max. It's a stronger overall push, but it's very slow-moving. So against the Swarm Hosts, it can be a little bit hard to play that. So I think that was his idea, was to run around with a more mobile composition and gain some value from that, considering a bunch of supply was tied up in Swarm Hosts, and normally Swarm Hosts have to pair with Roaches, so Cyclones do well against Roaches. So there were ideas there, I think, for what he was trying to do, but certainly he stayed on the Cyclones too long. All right, what do we have? SCV is scouting across, and so the Sixlings should not be able to affect Cure. Again, like I mentioned in that previous game, if you don't do this SCV scout, then your Reaper is the first thing across the map, and the Lings go around and slow down your expansion. But his SCV will come up, it'll see these Lings, and he'll just check if there's a hatchery, then go home with this. And then his Reaper just blocks the Lings. The Lings can't do anything. But as you saw from Dark last game, he recovered from that without too much of a problem. You know, that's one of the main things about Dark. He's like great with a big economy late game. Like he's really a very full Zerg, similar to Rogue Serral, I think in that regard, where like they kind of can do everything and deal with everything. It's not like a certain style that has to be played. But Dark also, and I think by far, he's the best Zerg in the world at playing with a reduced economy. Like, out of all the Zergs, when they take massive amounts of damage and they just don't have the economy they want, I think Dark is unbelievably good in those positions compared to everybody else. He's really incredibly strong like that. Yeah, it's an amazing thing to watch, really. And he puts himself in those positions quite often because he likes to do some of the earlier aggressive stuff. Sometimes he plays off comps like Roach against Terran and stuff, against Bio. Anyways, we'll see. We'll see if we run into that situation at all for him here today. But if we do, I'll kind of point it out and show you. All right, so just getting into reactored Hellions now. And, well, just wait a moment. See what we're going to see here out of the... It looks like that tech lab is likely for the starport. That's just finishing on the production tab right now. So we're going to see in just a second. Okay, it is going to be Banshee. Now, I have seen like 1 or 2 games where they go Hyperflight Rotors first. Hyperflight Rotors are cheaper now. It is going to be Cloak first. That's more standard. It's more normal. You can't really fault him for that. There is always a possibility he goes for Banshee Speed afterwards. Banshee Speed almost only pairs with mech openers. It's like instead of going Battlecruiser, right, you go Banshee. Those are the ways that you're kind of harassing with mech early on and having that a little bit of additional damage. I don't think we're going to see that, though. This really looks like a bio build to me. Just Cloak Banshee Hellion is a solid opener. You know, this has been around forever. This has been around since Wings of Liberty. You open with these 2 and you just go bio behind it while getting a 3rd and whatnot. It's like, it's a pretty flexible composition. Deals with a lot of different things. Like, Banshees deal with everything except, like, Mass Sling really well, and then the Hellions deal with the Mass Sling really well. And, of course, you have that harassment potential in there as well. Yeah, sorry about the little bit of lag that we're seeing right now. Mapu's connection tonight is a little bit off. He hasn't gotten his quality connection at his new place yet. So, yeah, sorry about that. We might have him try, like, a restart or something after this, but for those finals, I don't know. See if there's something we can do to fix it. But, yeah, I guess nothing really can be done about it, except to kind of let it pass. Oof. Oh, man. Well, hopefully this fix is pretty quick, because that's getting a bit annoying there. So, the Banshee's going to go ahead across the map. We are going to restart after this game. Or after this series, I guess, right? There'll be a little bit of lag time while they get maps done and stuff, but Mapu's going to try to fix this up right after this, because obviously this is getting pretty damn annoying. Honestly, the stuttering sound hurts more than anything. I might mute it. I'll give you guys some quality tunes here. There we go. Now that's StarCraft. Uh-oh. Yes, that is how you fix the internet. We all know that. You know, I used to have, you know, Comcast, as I'm sure many of you have.
Clever StarCraft guy cheered. X300.
Yo.
Artie, can you fix the lag, please? This pre-recorded stream is unwatchable.
Yeah, it's a bit
Please
painful.
reboot the internet box, Artie. Lamau, you call yourself a professional caster? Try talking in chat again when you are a true caster, Artie.
Damn, you got me. Anyways, I used to have Comcast back in the day, like when we first got cable. I did dial-up before then. And, of course, the Comcast, what was it called? Roadrunner. God damn, stuff would go wrong with that so often. I was on the phone with them so often, and they would always give you the same stupid things to try. Every single time I'd call them about the internet being absolutely terrible and not working well, they would tell me, you have to unplug the fucking modem to the computer, and switch which side is plugged in the modem and which side is plugged in the computer. Every time they would tell me this, and I'd tell them, listen, I call you guys once a week about this, and that doesn't change anything. They're like, sir, you have to try that before we do it. And the thing is, my computer was on the 3rd floor in the attic, and the modem was in the basement. So it's like, it would take forever to switch that. So eventually I would just be like, okay, I'll do that, and then wait 1 minute and be like, okay, it's done. It didn't help. So yeah, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. But I tell you, internet in America is pretty bad. Anyways, hopefully it's better now for you guys than it was when I lived there. Now, a little bit of Marine Banshee comboing here. Actually doing a pretty damn good job. The Banshees do finally get sniped there. Cure backing up a bit. Now, 2-2 is on the way here for Cure. He's got his 3 bases up and mining very, very well. Oftentimes, what you see, there's like, you generally will hit max right around the same time as 2-2. So when you're doing a build like this, that's going to be the most important moment of the game very oftentimes, is that first maxed attack with 2-2 upgrades. Now, Dark's upgrades are insanely good. Look at this. He's got Adrenaline on the way, Baneling Speed on the way. Those will be done before the first really big attack from Cure. And he's got +1 melee, +2 carapace that are going to finish before the 2-2. So he's literally only going to be down a single upgrade, which is amazing. Viper's coming up already. Second factory is coming here. The creep spread, like, I feel like he's kept the creep spread reasonable. Cure has. Wasn't super paying attention to that before, as we were getting a little bit laggy and everything. But yeah, it seems it's not that far across the map yet, so that's kind of nice. Looks like he is going to check out this bottom area here. Trying to clear some of the creep, but immediately Dark jumps upon him. Look at that army, dude. Oh my god. A lot of Lingbane. And there is that +2 carapace. There's that Zergling speed, or the Baneling speed. Ultraless Cavern, of course, on the way here for Dark. Kind of an older style, but he has always been like the best Ultra user of the Zergs. Ultra, of course, being buffed more recently. Has a smaller size, which helps quite a bit. They got stuck a lot before. Now, a little attack coming in here from Dark. Yeah, doing really quite well. And, well, he is breaking in. He's killing a lot of SCVs here as well. And, I mean, here is trying to micro back as best he can, but this type of damage is pretty significant. Now, Cure actually still has a healthy amount of SCVs, so I have to step this back a little bit. Like, if he was down to 50 SCVs right now, I'm feeling real nervous about him, but 79 is actually super healthy SCVs still. So the SCVs he lost, I'm not actually too worried about now that I'm taking a look at the actual numbers of the situation. He's got great upgrades. He hasn't started 3-3 yet, unfortunately, as Dark is not missing a beat with his upgrades. Chitinous plating on the way. There are ghosts joining in, which are going to be incredibly important as the Ultras come across the map. And, oh, an EMP does go off on one of the Vipers. Blinding Clouds on the Siege Tanks. Ever so painful. Siege Tanks not being able to help at all here. Does lift off so he doesn't lose that command center to the incoming Ling Bane. But a lot of it left over. Uh-oh. My god, actually goes for the ghost. GG is called. And yeah, Dark takes it down 2-0.